Dan, great to have you with me on today's Spotlight. It's Dan Hayward from Infinite Talent. Dan, tell us about your business, please.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, great to be involved in this sort of forum, really. Infinite Talent, we're a specialist recruitment business. We started almost 5 years ago, 5 years, February coming, very much in the supply chain and logistics arena. To start with, myself and my business partner James Gamble, we had a very niche sort of segment of the market we recruited for in warehouse management system technology, which brought us ultimately together to start the Infinite sort of family. And then organically over time, we've branched out into other areas, so like operational recruitment, HR recruitment, finance recruitment, and more transformation recruitment as well. But at the heart of Infinite Talent, we've got 3 customers that we focus on, and that's retailers, logistics companies, and then consultancy businesses. They're our sort of key industries, and we service them across a spectrum of areas, really.
Mm-hmm. And both temp and perm side from a recruitment perspective?
Absolutely. Myself and James actually started, we were temp, contract recruitment specialists, sort of 10 years ago when we started at the same firm together. That's how we knew each other. And then we went our separate ways and came back together 5 years ago. But yeah, we were very much contract biased. That was our sort of passion. But yeah, now Infinite, we do literally a split. Not quite 50-50, but not far off 50-50 contract and perm. We've got about 60 contractors that work via us at the moment. And, we do between 150 and 200 permanent placements a year. So yeah, definitely.
Right. Cool. Okay. What would you say makes you stand out from your competition, the other guys that do similar things to what you do?
It's really interesting, actually, because the thing that James and I sort of recruited for all those years ago and still recruit for now, we're still very passionate about it and hands-on, that made us stand out because, believe it or not, there's us and probably 2 or 3 other companies in Europe that recruit for that bit of technology, which is very nice to get you in places. It definitely breaks down doors, and it's very, very sort of, specific in terms of, targeting clients. And we then organically grow our offering out, usually with that sort of Trojan horse into a client, for want of a better phrase. But genuinely, we live and breathe what we do. We care. We don't see our business as transactional. Our clients and our candidates are one and the same thing. We'll be talking to a person about getting them a job 1 minute, and then they'll land at a different company, and then they'll be a customer, or they've been a customer, they've been made redundant, and then we'll place them in a role. So we see that ecosystem as very, very sort of cyclical, so that we don't treat one better than the other. And to be fair, that is one thing I'd say underpins our success. We genuinely we care, and we live and breathe what we do. And because we've grown organically, we've got specialists in each of those areas that I mentioned, which, they're very passionate about that area and what they recruit for. So yeah, I think we like to keep our audience and our customers and our clients. I use audience because that covers both. Our audience, we always keep them at the forefront of what we're doing.
Right. Great stuff. So nearly 5 years in. What about the next 5 years? Dan, where's it going?
Great question. Very topical question, because, a lot of businesses and people that run businesses, lead businesses, have 5-year plans, don't they? 3-year plans, 5-year plans. But 5 years tends to be the, very rare year, a 10-year plan, for example. So we're at that pivot now where we've grown and we're quite established, client base and profitability wise, we're quite profitable. So I don't know the answer, actually, which I guess it's okay not to know. I didn't know where we'd be 5 years ago if you'd have asked me the same question.
Sure.
But I think in 5 years' time, we'll have grown and we'll have identified new areas we can really support our clients. I think it's very easy to get complacent. If you're very good at doing one thing, it's very easy to get complacent and keep doing that one thing, which is absolutely fine. You should do that. But for myself and James, you always like to listen to our customers, listen to the market, and find out what the next thing is to do. We're not going reinvent the wheel or invent the iPhone again. You know, we're just going to listen and then tailor and adapt our offering to that. So that'll be the kind of the strategy around what we do. But from a business perspective, as I you know, alluded to, we're part of a group of recruitment businesses. You know, we like being part of that group, and it was brilliant. As I say, when we were founded 5 years ago, Farouk, who owned Digital Gurus, who helped us on that journey, you know, we're still a part of that group. So going forward, you know, James and I would like to, I guess, control and have more ownership over Infinite Talent, which is natural, and it's something we discussed with Faz when we started the business. So I imagine in 5 years' time, that's hopefully what it'll look like, and we'll have that 100% ownership that we're looking for. But that's not to detract from the support and the guidance Digital Gurus have given us to this point. And I'm sure it won't just be a shaking hands and you know, thanks for the help sort of thing. I imagine they'll retain an interest in us, and it will just flip the balance of power in the next 5 years. That's probably the biggest change I'd anticipate. But then again, you know, you always have to look at the market as well. Have one eye on the market. You don't really, you know, we didn't know there was a pandemic coming, did we? 3 years ago. So yeah, I think it's most important to underpin your business and make it sure it's future proofed commercially against a lot of other things. I mean, luckily we work in the logistics space, which in the pandemic actually thrived, obviously, with lockdowns, and obviously online retail surged as well. So a lot of our customers were, you know, online retailers, your JD Sports of the world, or, you know, all these sort of guys pivoted into really pure online offerings for the customers. So in the pandemic, it was quite good, but obviously you don't know what the next iteration of challenge is going to be. So it's about underpinning your customer base and taking them on that 5-year journey with you.
Yeah. Sure, there's some challenges coming though. They seem to be thick and fast at the moment, don't they?
They do.
What would you say your biggest learning's been since you've been a business owner then, Dan?
For me, the pandemic was obviously, you know, well, it was just obviously exceptional, wasn't it? And we haven't ever seen anything like that, I think, in any of our lifetimes, you know, to anywhere near that level. And I think it was just the resilience of, you know, at one point we were down to just me and James recruiting for our largest client, which was Clipper Logistics, who had the NHS PPE contract. And they were setting up sort of 5 brand new distribution centres in the space of sort of 5 or 6 weeks. So we were supporting them with labour for those sites. And I always remember it was glorious outside, wasn't it? And James and I were genuinely working 7 days a week. We reduced our fees to match the internal charge rate of Clipper. So obviously, because it was for the NHS, we didn't want to absolutely come across as profiteering from that, but at the same time we understood the value of that relationship and what that meant to our business at the time. It got us through that, and it means we're having this conversation today, Andy. You know, if that relationship hadn't have been there, and they hadn't won that contract, and we hadn't have created the commercial model we did at the time, I very doubt we'd be having this conversation. So for me, that has been the biggest single learn, is about adapting and being flexible and understanding the market you're in, because it's better to have 10% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really interesting. So I don't know whether you might have alluded to it, maybe not. What would you say your biggest challenge has been that you've had to overcome in the business?
I suppose the pandemic was a challenge, but there's probably a bigger learn than a challenge, I think, because that was about learning on the spot and doing that. I think the biggest challenge is, once you are successful, is maintaining success and growing, because obviously you've got shareholders, you've got stakeholders, you've got people that want you to grow and all this sort of stuff. And as I said at the very beginning, it's quite easy to get complacent and just, you know, well, we're doing okay now, you know, that's fine. And, you know, myself and James are from quite humble beginnings anyway. So, you know, we once you get a level of success, it's easy to just stick in that lane. But I think the biggest challenge is taking it to the next level, you know, taking it from 15 people to 50 people, or, you know, from 10 to 20, and growing sustainably, and not, you know, not just throwing money at things like, I think growth has been a thing, hasn't it, over the last, I don't know, few years. Coming out of the pandemic, it's all been like growth, growth, growth. People are betting on growth, investing on growth.
Yeah.
Well, actually, are we investing in sustainable growth for businesses, or is it just growth for growth's sake? And I think the biggest challenge for us is growing quick enough, but not too quick. So it's about growing properly, not just growing for growth's sake.
Sure.
Would be my biggest challenge, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. If you were sitting here with the knowledge you got today, having a conversation with your 18-year-old you, what would you tell you?
Don't know. Would I have gone to university? I don't know. Because obviously recruitment is not a job that you require a degree for. I don't know. I think I guess I've always been quite entrepreneurial, but it's about I would probably go back and tell myself to take more risk and opportunity. You don't have to follow the status quo. I went to a sixth form that did A levels. You had to apply for 3 or 4 universities. That was a very traditional route, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But I could have been sat here where I am today I didn't need those qualifications. Yes, I learned things whilst doing them, which has helped me today, But any 18-year-old, not just myself, I'd sit them down and say, look, just think about what you're doing, and don't just do something because that's the path that the college or the higher education facility have sort of defined for you. Look at your options, because employment at that age, would have been, I could have done recruitment at that age. I could have got into a sales role at that age. So yeah, for me, it's just consider there are multiple options, and I probably wasn't as aware of that as I would have been now, given my career to date.
Yeah, I don't think that's unusual. And then, yeah, you could arguably be 3 years ahead, couldn't you?
Yeah, and that's hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And that's that. That I've always used that phrase, but yeah, I think I went to university because that was my degree was in sports science, right. And why did I do that? Because I liked it. I liked the sports science element. I like science, like biology, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
When I finished my degree, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't want to be a teacher, with the greatest respect to teachers. That wasn't what I was kind of wanted to do. What can I do? So that's when I changed path. Then I went and did a master's in business, because actually I enjoy business. It didn't feel like I was learning. It was more natural. So that year was probably more pivotal than the 5 previous. In my learnings and the people I met, and the academia around it. So yeah, I'd just say to 18-year-olds, just think, explore your options, speak to people that have been through it. That's the best advice I'd give.
Yeah, great advice. And talking of advice, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give to other business owners who are watching this, Dan?
I think having a community or network is important, because I think it can be quite isolating. I alluded to, we're part of a group, so there's people in the group at our level, above our level, different backgrounds, finance, HR, sales, tip of the spear type people. Try and, if you are an independent business owner where you haven't got a group to support you, get a community, bounce ideas. It can be a lonely place. Luckily, I say, there's myself and James, so that's a good little trade-off. We usually agree on the outcome, but we have got very different journeys to get to most of the outcomes, which is good. So that's a yin and a yang type balance, which is good. But yeah, having a group for support, that's something that could be taken for granted. And I'd say to other business owners that haven't got that, try and get yourself in a community or a group, or some form of a forum where you can speak to other people that have maybe been through similar challenges, or that can support.
Yeah, great. Lastly then, Dan, obviously all of your contact details will be sitting below this video. But in terms of next steps, in terms of anything that you want to put forward as a best way to get in touch or offers to make, over to you.
Yeah, I think, anyone that's watching this, and I think getting the best talent into your business at the moment is a challenge for a lot of people with Brexit and with other things. The workforce and employee workforce now have got a lot of power, so it's very hard to attract and engage people. So my offer would be to anyone that's watching it, any of the business owners that are looking at talent acquisition and recruitment, is I'll happily give you 30, 40 minutes of my time to discuss your challenges, you know, not to sell you anything, just discuss your challenges, any advice I can give you. Yeah, my inbox and my phone would be open.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dan. Well, thanks for sharing your journey so far. Best of luck with the journey ongoing. Look forward to seeing what happens with your business. And thanks for your insights.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Andy.